Most people want to retire as millionaires, or so they think. But many don't actually crave millions, but instead, they want the lifestyle they believe only millionaires can have. They want to be able to travel, learn new skills, spend time doing other things instead of working. But what if there was a way to achieve this lifestyle without being a millionaire or waiting 40 years for retirement in order to live it? In the book, The 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferris shows us the main schools of thought when it comes to achieving this lifestyle. Number 1. The Deferring Method. This follows the conventional system of using our younger years, working 30 to 40 years, to save money to eventually retire at the age of 60 or 65. Or what Tim Ferris calls the New Rich Method. Instead of waiting for retirement, spread those years of retirement throughout your lifetime, alternating between periods of work and fun. The goal is to leverage our skills and systems to maximize our earnings with as little time and effort as possible. In the book, Tim Ferris breaks down how to achieve this lifestyle in 4 main stages: the definition stage, the elimination stage, the automation stage, and the liberation stage. First, we must define what it is that we want. A good exercise is to write down how we want our lifestyle to be down to the details. Where would you like to live? If you like to travel, where would you want to go? For how long? How much time off would you like to have each year? What hobbies would you like to have with your time off? Once we begin defining our ideal lifestyle, Tim says to start finding out how much this lifestyle would cost. Let's say that you want to be able to take 4 vacations every year, and let's say that each one costs around $5,000 each. Let's say that your basic living expenses cost $35,000 per year, and you have the car of your dreams, which costs you an additional $6,000 per year, and your hobbies take up another $10,000 a year. This means that your total lifestyle expenses are $71,000 per year. Broken down monthly, this lifestyle would cost you $5,916 per month. Let's include a 30% tax expense and an additional 10% that will go to your long-term investment portfolio. This way, you can continue to invest money for the future as you're living your desired lifestyle. After these expenses, your total target income comes up to $9,861 per month. And the great thing is that there are countless examples and ways that this can be done in this day and age. We have YouTubers making 6 figures with just a few hours a week, piano teachers who sell their beginner courses online. The goal is to maximize your earning potential with the minimum effort and time required. To do this, we begin the next step in the process. Normally, when a person goes to a job, they are rewarded for being busy. Imagine if you were able to get your work done in 1 hour instead of 8. Do you think your job would still pay you the same salary if you only worked 1 hour a day? Probably not. To be able to maximize our earning potential, we must switch our mindset from presence to performance, to start cutting out what is not necessary to produce a result. In order to start working less and still produce a good result, Tim Ferris suggests using the strategy called the Pareto Principle. For those who are not familiar, the Pareto Principle was born out of the observation that throughout the world, 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes. For example, roughly 80% of wealth is controlled by 20% of people. 20% of drivers cause 80% of the accidents. And 20% of our actions cause 80% of our desired results. Using this principle can identify 2 main things that will help us lower our time spent working. First, we find what is the 20% of activities that are creating 80% of our desired outcomes. And, just as importantly, what is the 20% of activities that are consuming 80% of our time? The goal is to find the inefficiencies in both your business life and your personal life in order to eliminate them. This will also help you find your strengths in those critical tasks that produce the majority of your results. Once you've eliminated the inefficiencies and found those critical tasks that produce our results, it is time for the next step. Now it's time to find systems that will help us maximize our time. You see, even if you only focus on the critical tasks of a business, there is a chance that you will still be working a lot, which can still limit your earning potential. This is why Tim Ferris makes a big emphasis on removing yourself as the bottleneck of the business as soon as you're able to. For example, let's say that you are creating a YouTube channel. You've already eliminated all the non-essential tasks and listed out all the critical things that would actually bring you results. But if you're doing all the critical tasks yourself, there is a chance that you won't be able to produce as much content or maximize the potential of the brand because there's only so much you can do yourself. In this stage of your business, you want to look at your critical tasks and begin putting them into one of two categories: needs you and doesn't need you. Here you want to start using other people or systems to remove yourself as much as possible from the labor of the business and only focus on the tasks that only you can do. Outsourcing becomes your superpower. Those tasks that don't need you can be outsourced to someone else. So if you're working on building a YouTube brand, for example, as soon as you can get others to help you edit your videos, work the cameras, organize your footage, create your graphics, do some research, even schedule your social media posts for you to help you eliminate the time you spend working on those things, helping you focus on the things that only you can do. This not only removes you as the bottleneck of the business, making it easier to grow, but also lowers the time you spend on your business while producing the same or even better results. But Tim Ferris suggests not stopping there. You can outsource your business, but you can also outsource your life. There are many things in our daily life that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, but things we have to do. Imagine not doing any of those, ever. Outsourcing can bring true freedom to someone's life, where they can truly do exactly what they want. Now, for many, this might sound quite out of reach or too expensive. And this is where we begin moving into our final stage. The true freedom that comes from this lifestyle isn't automating one's income, but the freedom of mobility that this brings us. For the new rich, money isn't the full defining factor of freedom. There are two ways to view income. We have absolute income and we have relative income. A person that makes less money can have a much more luxurious life than someone with a higher income. For example, we have our friend Tom here who makes $100,000 per year. Then we have our friend Jerry who makes $80,000 per year. Just by looking at the absolute income, the total number of dollars, you would say that Tom is richer than Jerry because he makes more money. But what if I tell you that Tom works 80 hours a week in order to make his $100,000, while Jerry only has to work 15 hours a week to make his $80,000? This means that Tom makes $26 an hour, while Jerry makes over $111 per hour. One thing is making more money, and another is making more money on the time invested. So income relative to time, Jerry makes much more than Tom. But let's take it a little further. Tom has to stay in New York City, which is a fairly expensive city to live in because his job is there. Jerry, on the other hand, can live anywhere he wants to. While Tom has to pay $7,000 per month just for living expenses in New York City, Jerry spends $2,500 a month to live in a big house in beautiful Mexico. So at the end of the month, Tom ends up with $1,300 after expenses. Jerry is left with $4,166. This means that Jerry ends up with more time, more money, and more freedom than Tom does. Now, personally, one of my favorite ways to create this type of income is by using the knowledge you already have to help someone else. You can do this by creating a course or a coaching program. You don't only make money, but you get to help someone else. For that reason, I will be working with a handful of people this year who want to turn their knowledge into a digital product and use it to create an additional income. If you're interested and would like to join us, fill out the application in the description of this video. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.